So I'll start the session. So the whole idea was people keep asking, what is the difference between product management and product strategy? And it's is as different as a male and a female in the simplest of the simplest terms, right? And many people think that having a good project plan, having a good idea will help them be successful, which is not. Having the vision and understanding what the consumer wants makes all the difference. Okay. And that is what I wanted to focus this month in terms of opening up the thought process of how different it is to think like a strategist. I'll give a recent example. I'm talking to a few people, and where we have they have an idea and they're wanting to build it, but when I talk to them, the thing is, I'm not getting the confidence they really are looking at the long term. They have a list of competitors and they look at, these people are doing this. So if I do something similar, I will be there. Right? It's in the health tech space. But I try to dissuade them, saying that don't go that direction because it's not, they might be coming from a different direction and the problem they're seeing is very different and the way you are seeing it is different. The second most important is domain knowledge. If you don't understand the domain, you can't really look at it. So for example, if there is a doctor and they know the problem better than you and me because we are not a doctor or a physician or a nurse or something like that. So I keep discouraging people until unless they have something solid on their paper before we start. So let me get into the whole aspect of Divya is here.
Can I have a question or
Please go
something
ahead.
here?
Hi,
Okay.
Divya.
So you've said that domain knowledge is important. I completely agree with that. But certain times, what happens? It's just what I have observed is a person from a different domain. They actually can bring up a different kind of values to the product that people are working on. I'm not saying
Correct.
it just certain time that happens that kind of because there are a lot of not skills, but there are a lot of things that can be borrowed from a different domains.
Correct.
It just it's all up to how we do it, and yeah, it's
I,
up to
to-
that. But
I totally agree with you. See, for example, look at me, right? 16 years in health tech, and suddenly I started building something for prop tech. Right? It's a complete domain shift. I mean, there is not even a single coincidence. Now, when I say domain knowledge is important, you can shift to the domain, but the basic understanding of how things run is a must have. Right. I mean, naturally, I'm not a doctor. So after engineering or my master's, I moved over and started in health tech. And through when I joined Cerner, they were very specific that I need to understand the workflows in a hospital. So I did a 6 week intense learning program with Manipal hospitals during those times. I mean, 2005, 2006. So all I had to do was morning to evening stand in the reception one day, stand in the near the OT, and I mean OT, scheduling person's desk one day. I mean, actually, Sanar and Manipal had understanding, so I was allowed inside. I had I can't open my mouth. I just have to observe, come back, whatever department I shadowed that week, I will have to make the notes. I have to show them the workflow. I have to write down this happened, this is the flow and everything. Take it to the head of the department. They will validate my work and sign off, right? Saying, yes, Hari has understood for what he's been standing there. Right. That's where I'm saying understanding comes into picture. So when we started building Haplo,
got it.
I spent I spent time with a commercial real estate, which was functioning, and I told the owner, "Can I shadow your team for about a week?" So I shadowed the project manager, I shadowed the security guard, I shadowed the gardener, I shadowed the maintenance guy. I mean, all these people to understand actually what they do and how they do, and what is the information they're collecting, right? That translated back into the platform. So that's where it when I say domain
Understood.
knowledge becomes very important. Yes, you can definitely
Understood.
bring the perspective. Yeah. So I know Divya, Sushma have just joined, but we just started the session at 10:05. So I was just talking about what a product strategy is not, and definitely product strategy is not a feature list. It is definitely not a roadmap. It's not a backlog of ideas. Sushma, 1 second, um, and let's build it because someone is saying so. Sushma, please go ahead. Tell me.
Hey, hi, Harry. Good morning.
Hi,
I joined
morning.
5 minutes late, but yes, I heard you explaining like how did you shadow in a hospital domain because it was new, and how did you get the gist of it, right?
Correct.
So, in my current role, I am working as a Scrum Master, but I
Okay.
aspire to go into the product roles, right?
Hmm.
I did talk to my manager, my L2 product owners to coach me on L1. And, slowly I wanted to be there. I even told you don't give me the role, you just give me the work of business analyst. Let me start doing that. Okay.
Hmm.
They outright told me that you are, expecting to compete with someone who has 17 plus years of business and functional understanding of the domain.
Hmm.
I agree, but where do I start with? And for my domain, right, because it is capital markets and it's a banking sector, it's
Hmm.
investment banking, which has been like I was not open to this domain until
Hmm.
recent, right? I don't even have opportunities to shadow anyone, and these are very complex projects. I don't understand so much of technology also. So, how
Very
do
good.
you think, or what do you advise? How can I build my product skills here?
So, Sushma, here is my simple answer. Your
Mhm.
organization might be saying no to you, okay, for whatever reasons, right? None of our business. I believe in something. When the student is ready, the master appears, right? Are you part of any of these groups, the product tanks or
Yes.
area of the okay, there are a lot of fintech experts who are there. Why don't you post on the group saying, look, I want to shadow and learn? I'm sure somebody is willing to give you an opportunity to shadow them and learn.
Sure. I mean, see, I tried going to YouTube and learning on my own, and I now understand. Okay, what is this trade life cycle? All of this investment banking,
Mm,
all in a nutshell, I understand. But
mm,
like you said, right? You got opportunities to shadow. You got
mm,
opportunities to stand in those particular roles, like a
mm.
receptionist for one day. I
Correct.
don't have that opportunity. I will never get that
Correct.
opportunity.
No, please don't say never, Sushma, because see, every organization works in their own way, right?
Mm.
And please don't stop yourself saying that I have to go through my organization, I'll have to ask my manager, I have to find opportunities here. No, I'm saying reach out to people. I mean, 20 years down the line, I mean, I was talking about 2005, 2006, and now it's almost 20 years. So 2000, we are in 2025. Things have a lot changed, and people are more willing to give opportunities for people to shadow and learn and things like that. So why don't you just put it in the group and say, guys, this is exactly what I want to learn, and is there anybody who can give me an opportunity to shadow their work for a weekend or in the evenings for 1 hour or something, so that I can get a better understanding of what you do? I'm sure people are willing to open that up for you.
Sure, Hari. That sounds very optimistic. I'll give it a try. Thank you.
Yeah, please give it a try. Because recently somebody posted in one Slack group, they're wanting to build an agri-tech product. Okay,
Okay.
they want to use AI to test the quality of the soil, and if that soil will fit the crop which they're going to put for that season. Okay, the
Okay.
just building a tool, right? and agritech tool. This is, this idea came through one of the incubation programs, and we have put them. There are two amazing startups which are in agritech, which I personally know of. One is in Bangalore called Fruits, and one is some another name I forgot, which is northern India. And we reached out, and this team reached out to them and say, can we shadow you to understand how you work with the farmers? Right? They didn't know, and the both companies were more than willing to ask them to come over and spend some time when they interact with the farmers and things like that. So you understand how the interaction should go, right?
Wow.
So
Okay.
people are open. People are open. So don't stop yourself. I mean, organizations might stop, but people are always open. If it was my domain, I would have said, Sushma, let's do it. But I'm not. I'm not from a fintech background. So
Yeah.
otherwise, yeah, people are open to give. Please give it a shot.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hari, for that. I'll
Anytime, anytime. And you are on the Mind the Product Slack group.
no.
You are part of the Product Tank WhatsApp group.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Mind the Product is the parent Slack. So if you search on Google Mind the Product Slack group, it'll come. Please join that.
Okay.
India will be very, very silent, but
Uh-huh.
the remaining regions are very active.
I see. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, India may WhatsApp is the most junkest form of communication. I'm sorry. I mean, I really hate that. Right? Mind the Product has much more bigger. All countries have channels. All people have. All sections have channels. So post it out there, and also, if possible, search for Rand's Leadership Group (RLG). Okay.
Okay.
On
Okay.
Slack, it's an open group. Join that, but be very careful. Search for the respective. I mean, they have more than 70 channels. So search for the appropriate channel. Reach out and ask. Trust me, you will get responses within 10-15 minutes.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, Hari. This is really an eye opener. I will.
Any, anytime. So in continuation, I start the session saying people think that product management and product strategy are same, but the difference is very huge. It's like male and female kind of a difference. Just because you have a plan, it doesn't mean the product is going to work. You need to have a strategy which will guide the product plan to ensure that you are bringing out all the components of the product, right? So the objective of the session is product managers or product owners or entrepreneurs to help you understand how you think like a strategist and what kind of things, how is it different from doing a product plan. So that's where I started with what a product strategy is not. It's not a feature list, it's not a roadmap, it's not a backlog of issues. It's not that, okay, they have this feature, let's build this I'll build this on our product. No, this is not that. But what is product strategy is basically it's vision plus target customer plus problem plus differentiator. How you bring these things together and understand what problem you're solving, how you're solving, and how are you delivering it, and how are you creating the value proposition to the user. That's what counts, right? That's what is product strategy. If you want me to give you a definition, this is the definition. It's a deliberate set of decisions that align your product goals with your business goals. And it's a bridge between your vision and execution. If you have a good strategy, it translates into a good plan. But if you have a good plan, first of all, you can't even call it a good plan without a strategy. So if you have a plan, it doesn't translate into a strategy. 9 out of 10 products fail because they are short-term perspective. I was mentioning before with Manali, there is a health tech product which is somebody came to me and said, Hari, can you do the product? Can you tell us where we are going wrong? So they have. They launched a platform for in health tech space to sell nutrients and things like that. And what they realized is people are coming to their site, but nobody's buying, right? And that's where the conversation started. We went into the details, and then finally we realized for a new company, they have given 100 variations of what the consumer can do on their website. Now, that's a huge bouncer. people who don't understand nutrients, or people like, even I don't get nutrients completely. So when I want to buy a new product, I want to go to the website, and it starts talking about my health data. I'll give you a health check. I'll give you everything. I'm like, I'm off. I'll just close the window and move on. So the one hook they need to create is what they need to focus on. Now, their logic is, hey, these things exist in the US already. They are at 100 million and 150 million. Why can't we do it? Look, you need to understand they reached that 100, 200 in the last 10 years, and you are not even 10 days old, right? You can't expect to compete directly, copy and paste and compete, because you need to understand the consumer mindset. I don't know if the life might thought or not, but that's where it ended. But that's what happens with new products. Because else is doing it, I want to do it. That is a strict no-no, and that is the first step to failing as a product. Now, let me take a little bit more, go a little bit more. What are the characteristics of a product strategist? So, first thing is you need to have clarity of focus. The second thing you need to is you should be customer centric all the time. You can't be thinking as a techie or an ideator or an entrepreneur, right? And the last part, it's directional. It's unidirectional, and it's also directional. You learn from the customer, you incorporate back into your strategy, that translates into your product plan, and then rolls out. So it's unidirectional but directional. Now I'll go into a little examples, giving you some examples of bad and good strategy. Then I'll go into a lot more examples. You will get the picture of what I'm trying to say. So, for example, our goal is to launch 10 features this year to increase engagement. Do you think it's a good strategy or a bad strategy? Anyway, I have given the header there, but still, it's a bad strategy. Why is it a bad strategy? Does anyone want to take a guess? All right, I'll only go for it. So this, if you notice, I want to launch 10 features this year to increase engagement. But we are not talking about what features or how do we derive those features which can enhance the engagement. That's the worst part of this strategy line, right? So it's output focus, but not outcome focus. That's the big failure, right? We're not the statement is not talking about what the customer's problem is, how are you going to solve it, what is the value proposition. As I mentioned, 10 features. What are the 10 features? Minimize, I'm sorry, minimize, maximize, add to cart, delete to cart. These are not features. Yes, these are features, but these are the features which will not get you more engagement. These are part of the product offering itself. So we need to identify what are those features which will enhance the engagement of my product with my targeted customers. That's where the difference comes into picture. And the measurement is very superficial. There is no pinpointed set of measurement principles which help you understand if your approach was right or wrong or bad. No prioritization logic. Which is not, scientific here. First of all, there is no way to identify what are the 10 features I want to build for enhancing my engagement. Point number one. Point number two, just saying 10 features and without having prioritization does not make any sense. So these are all components of a very bad strategy. Now, if you look at an example of a good strategy, is to help small design teams, 2 to 10 people, reduce collaboration friction by 50% through asynchronous commenting and smart version control. We'll differentiate through seamless integration with existing Figma workflows and AI-based design. All the points are checkmarked here. How many people I'm going to look at? My product is looking at people, team sizes 2 to 10. What am I going to achieve? I'm going to reduce collaboration. By how much I'm going to reduce the collaboration? 50%. And how am I going to achieve that reduction in the friction in collaboration is allowing for asynchronous commenting and reviewing. So I've ensured that every aspect of the problem is identified and defined. So when the team is working on that, they have a much more higher clarity on what they're doing, how they're doing, and what they're looking for. right? So this is why this strategy statement is much, much more better. Clear target audience, clear problem, measurable outcome, and focused approach. So this takes care of the whole aspect of a good strategy. Now, okay, the differentiator also is mentioned because we are talking about Figma workflows and AI-based design decisions. That also is taken into consideration. So this makes a lot more sense. Right. Now, the next question people ask is, Hari, how is what if okay from a if I want to become a product strategist, what are the key things I need to keep in mind? Just since this discussion or the today's session is only about product strategy, I said let me identify the top 5 things which are required to become a product strategist or to start looking through product strategy lens, right? So first one is systems thinking, curiosity, long-term orientation, trade-off navigation, and customer obsession. These are the key 5 traits of a product strategist. Yes, if you see curiosity, long-term orientation, these are all not something measurable, but it is it is demonstrated through the ability how far you can see the product evolving. There are few products which evolve to a certain extent and after that vanish. I'll give you an amazing example. There is a tool called for Mac. There used to be a tool, I forgot the name, Window or something like that, which will enable you to connect to 2 monitors wirelessly, and that app used to cost $9.99, right? Until iOS 16, it was the most profitable company, most sought out product in the App Store. But what happened in 2016 is Apple inherently included, sharing 2 screens wirelessly, right? Sidecar with an iPad if you want to do. That hit the product so bad, right? Now, I mean, the product still exists, but it'll work if you want to use it on Windows and Android tablets and things like that. But Mac is completely gone now because they have their own inbuilt feature. So the ability of a product strategist is to understand how your competition is evolving, where you are, and how long your product can go. That becomes very important. Yeah, and these are measured in real time, and there is no set measurement to understand all these traits. Let's look at them a little bit more in detail with an example. When we talk about system thinking, we need to stop looking at minute aspects of the product. So for example, when Swiggy started, they looked at only deliveries of tiffins or whatever. But I'm sure the founders were thinking, what are the bigger things I can do? And there are a couple of features which became very huge. For example, food delivery. Now you buy groceries, a lot of other things. They have even Swiggy has an option to, if your pet is found missing, you can share it on Swiggy portal. If any of their delivery personnel find it, they will get it back to you, right? So they went into something which nobody could even think of. So as product managers in that organization, I'm sure they're thinking of more things rather than only one thing. I talked about that example only in this. So look at the big picture, not the small picture. What is the most important aspect of the product, and how you can, diversify giving more solutions using this, right? This is the example I have given, the same thing. A food delivery app PM balances driver supply, restaurant preparation, and app UX to reduce cart abandonment, right? Many times it happens to me, I want to go buy something, I'll put it, but I will delete it and go ahead and put something else, or finally I decide I'll not do anything and then move on. So as product managers for especially B2C kind of products, you need to understand what are the things which will make the person pissed off and abandon the cart. So look at the big picture. Just don't control yourself at the small picture. That's the first important aspect if you want to become a strategist, right? The second one is curiosity. Ask better questions. The quality of the questions you ask determines the quality of the answer you get, which directly is proportional to the output what you're going to give. Now, when you ask me, Hari, how do I ask better questions? How do I know if I'm asking better questions? There's nothing more than you doing your self-learning and self-asking. I mean, I'll give you a simple example. If you use ChatGPT or Cloud, if you've been using it for some time, either paid or non-paid, what you can do is go ahead and ask one day, ChatGPT, what do you think about me? It'll bring a culmination of all the answers. If you have replaced ChatGPT as replacement for Google, then if you're asking where is a good movie or where is a good food and things like that, it'll give you a culmination of answers. It'll take your whole search history and ask you and tell you, this is the personality you are, and you'll be quite impressed, thinking that, hey, you know what, I'm exactly this. But it's not thinking anything. It is just looking at what all questions you asked and framing it in a different way and telling back to you are this kind of personality. So ask better questions to get better answers. So if you only do a couple of searches on ChatGPT, it will give you better information about you than anything else. I had this experience for 15 days. I just used it for doing some research, and end of the day I asked ChatGPT, what do you think I have done how do you think I've evolved in the last 10 days? It gave me some points which I knew I was searching for, but it also gave me two, three other points saying that, see, these kind of questions, if you're asking, these are the kind of problems you're solving. That gave me it gave me much more insight. Oh, these are the kind of things what I can look for, and started researching more on that. So ask better questions comes from where. And the best example for this is Spotify. Now, if you are a Spotify user, every week, every month, they come out your monthly curated list, your relaxing list, your focus list, and things like that. What Spotify does is it keeps track on which mode you're listening, work mode, study mode, driving mode, whatever, and then curates all the songs and makes them as an album for you for next time for you to use it easily. So that's where it makes a difference from Spotify standpoint. The next one is the long-term orientation, right? And whenever you're building a product, always look at it as that I'm playing a long-term game. You don't think of it short-term. Okay, for the next 2 years, I'm going to be here, and after that, probably I don't know where I'm going to be, so I will look at it in a different way. This is one of the classic examples I can give you. A lot of my friends, when we started career way back in 2004, when we all started jobs, I mean, that time there was not so many deviations, there were not so many expenses we could have. Many went ahead and bought apartments or houses, and I'm not a person who goes into real estate investment anyway, but I know two, three people who got stuck, right? They had opportunities to go somewhere and things like that. They got stuck because they have the EMI hitting them. The long-term game is just to wait it out, but have a serious investment plan. That's a different story altogether. But don't rush into something because you could do it today. Look at it. How is it sustainable on the long run? 99% of the YouTube channels cannot be successful because people get excited to start a YouTube channel. They start, but the consistency is gone. I mean, I still remember a friend of mine who started a channel, very excited, and they got a pet. Hey, I'll do pet videos and all the stuff. They started 2 videos. 2 years later, there's no other video, right? So it's very difficult to sustain a new thing which you're going to do. So even in a product standpoint, just because it's winning short term, don't focus on the short term, but look at the long term, because that's where the game needs to be played. Short term, anybody can play. That's the biggest learning, right? Short term wins with long term. You have to keep in mind the long term goal. Otherwise, it becomes very, very difficult for you to sustain your product. You cannot think from your competition standpoint. You cannot think that how the technology is shaping up for you to keep up with the changes so that it becomes much more useful, right? Here is an example. Notion, if you use Notion, they focused on block-based system. That's about it. And they said, we will bring in a lot more things, but our focus will be block based. So today, if you're a free user, it goes up to 1,000 blocks. And if you're a paid user, it goes into unlimited. And if you use those 1,000 blocks, trust me, you will end up paying for the next one because you already accumulated a lot of information on your Notion. And you'll say, okay, I can't now get out of it. So let me pay and continue for it. So that's how you should hook the user, bring the user, and play the long game. But don't look at how can I bring more users to keep using my product or testing. Make few things available so that the user gets used to them, and once they're used to them, they can't get out of it. And feel free to ask questions anytime. I'm just going on with the flow. Trading off the navigation. So greater strategy means choosing what not to do. And we all struggle in our everyday lives, right? Saying no to people around us. And many motivational videos you must have listened, many leaders you must have listened. You should learn to say no, otherwise, you will never be able to achieve what you want to achieve. In the similar way, having a product. So, when we were building Haplo, there are quite a few requirements which came in. And I mean, our product is primarily focused towards commercial real estate. And two, three instances, we had the residential real estate come up to us and say, why don't you do it for this huge complex? We went back to a drawing board, but Arun and I were never convinced that we are going to play the residential real estate because one, it is energy sucking. Second, there is no money in it. People don't want to buy money. Yes, today you see MyGate, apartment at these kind of platforms are all there. Initially, they could survive and raise a little fund, and after that, they're so stuck today that they're becoming a super app rather than providing any value. Except that when somebody comes, there is a message which comes on the app. They're not able to create value. So we decided we will not go into residential. Yeah, it was hard to say no. I mean, those three were giving us solid money, but from a long-term perspective, we didn't want to have it in our head because our focus will be deviated. So for what if tomorrow we have 1,000 commercial real estate clients and only 3 residential? Our energy keeps going in there, and we have to go back and say sorry after a couple of years. So we said we will not do it. So you have to decide if you want to keep those features and go forward, or if you don't want to go forward, right? And you have to keep in mind how you are doing the trade-offs, which plays a very important role. You can't say no to everything. You can't say yes to everything. So look at, as a product strategist, how you can trade off and what you want to trade off for what you want to trade off. That will help you sustain in the long run as an individual and as a product. So here is another example. If you have ever used Basecamp, the base set of features of Basecamp are very, very simple. That is keeping the low-end users in mind, not for anything else. As you go up the ladder of using tiles in the Basecamp, you can use a lot more features, but Basecamp is quite famous. They wanted to keep things simple because their target is small teams and not the large teams. That's why if you are working in a large company, probably you would not have heard Basecamp. And India, unfortunate thing is we tend to go with the trend rather than looking at, Basecamp, who's using Basecamp? It's a much old product management tool. Yes, it is a much old product management tool, but it does a lot of better things than this Asana or Trello or something like that. And it has been existing for so long time. And their focus is small teams. So that's what creates the difference. We tend to just jump and use new tools rather than look at what we have and what we don't have. The customer obsession, right? Each feature you're building, you need to understand what the customer is wanting, how the customer. See, as a product strategist, you are 10 steps ahead, thinking about how the product should evolve. On the same lines, you should also look at an average consumer of or the user of your product and see how that user is going to mature. Definitely, the user will mature slower than you, but there will come a time if your competition just pivots and does something very drastic, your consumers' intellectual levels doubles up, and then you will have a tough time. So it's a tight rope walk, if you ask me, for a product strategist. From a product standpoint, they should think 10 years ahead. And from a user standpoint, you should be on your toes and you should drop down to, at least 5 steps down to understand how they're using it. Not everybody can match. And second, if you have the capability as a product strategist, design the product in such a way that the users get used to the workflow and then start using it. Live example is WhatsApp. We use WhatsApp. There is nobody in this world who's not using WhatsApp. But but all of us know Telegram and Signal offer better, functionality when compared to WhatsApp. But Signal and Telegram couldn't stand the competition at all. But there are very dedicated users of Telegram. Even I'm one of them, and they have a paid subscription to Telegram, which gives me a lot more features and things like that. Telegram is also getting widely accepted these days, but Signal is something which is struggling, but still few people use because of its encryption and communication aspects of it. So yeah, look at how your consumer is using it, and that's where I think. Thanks to Telegram and Signal, I think WhatsApp has improved a lot because of them. Otherwise, we would have been stuck in the olden times where you can just send a message and probably make a phone call and leave it up there. But you can do a lot more today. So here is an example. Airbnb founders regularly go and stay with their, hosts to understand how customers react and how the behavior of the customers is in somebody else's property and things like that to better the rules and regulations of their platform so that the hosts can get benefited out of it. So this is a very good example of how you can be part of the customer's journey, and if the customers love you, and they will ensure that they're sticking to you, but they don't move here and there. Going on to the third part and the last part, what are the mental models you can use to enhance your thinking as a product strategist, right? These models are basically diversifications in your approach, which can help you look at the product what you're looking at in various ways. We've heard about the 6 thinking hats, but there's nothing like 6 thinking hats. There are a few things what you need to keep in mind. First is the first principle thinking, right? Build problems down to the fundamental truths that they can reason up from there. So whenever we look at a problem, I'll give you Haplo's example. I love taking our platform example because I can share any information I want and it is on fingertips. So when we looked at Haplo, we were wanting to build or break into this tough market of commercial real estate. Why do I call it tough? First of all, commercial real estate technology penetration is less than 10% in this country. Grade A, grade B, grade C, whatever property you want to take. 2, they do not have the confidence to invest in technology, and technology is very, very expensive. All my competitors are thousands of dollars platforms. The third thing, for the commercial real estate, they don't have the expertise in-house from a technology standpoint in order to connect. What companies have done traditionally, technology companies for commercial real estate, they went ahead and sold what they have, and they are stuck with them and they can't come out with them. Now, when people like us come in, we have to be very careful in terms of dealing with the big guys. And whenever we ask, we want this information, the big guy always says, no, we don't share information. If you want, you share your information, we will show it here. So they don't want to let the data go from them. So we started approaching it in a very, very different way. We broke down the whole problem into what is it important for commercial real estate? Yeah, lease management, property management and security management, attendance management. These are all there. But what are the top things? Which is lease management and client relationships. Those are the 2 things. So those 2 things are taken care by a lot of companies around. And most of the property guys have already accepted and using them. Now it's very difficult to break. There is an 80% gap in how the property management works. The property manager is somebody who's always looked down because they do a lot of manual work. So when we spent time with the commercial real estate operator, we understood that the property manager on an average spends 3 to 4 hours a day compiling a daily report. That's the only thing. And before he or she leaves for the day, they send that property report, management report to the seniors or managers or the leadership out there. Now, what does this report have? I mean, how much diesel was consumed, how much electricity was consumed, which lift was working, which lift was not working, which stock is in town, which stock is not there, how many checklists have completed. All these things is manual. So all the maintenance guys go ahead and do the checklist. They'll give a stock. This guy will write it down on an Excel sheet and go. So what we said is we will automate this project manager's report. And that's how we started. And we went drilled down, and now we have an mobile app which we have given from a gardener to a maintenance guy and a checklist guy and everybody, electrician, plumber, store, everybody. So when they use and update that, all they have to do is scan, and the update is done along with a photograph. And the project manager's report is auto-generated by the end of the day, and it is in his inbox. He can look at it, approve it, and then automate is sent. So we looked at in that approach rather than looking at the big problem approach. So the biggest challenge is to make them pay. So we made it a SaaS thing, and we said you will pay a fraction of what you pay anybody else, and that's how we sell Haplo to our clients. And fortunately, I mean, whoever clients we have today. Otherwise, when we sell, we focus on this value proposition to them. Sorry, I took long, but I want to explain breaking the problem into smaller statements and how we did it for our own platform, right? The same thing what I explained. And why it matters? Because it simplifies and allows you to sell the product more easily, right? The best example, sorry, Sushma, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I have a lot of questions, but I didn't want to disturb you. So,
No problem.
see, now here, when you thought about the problem statement, right? Did the number of users or how much effort you're going to invest, you understanding the problem statement, creating a solution, creating an app, etc., would have taken considerable amount of time, right? And
Correct.
and the amount of people that are using probably is not to that ratio. So did
Correct.
you have any challenges in convincing that it's not just for a group of or a handful of people, the solution
Mhm.
is going to be efficient? How did you convince that?
The client?
Yes.
Okay. So, Sushma, for the first question, understanding the problem and breaking it to smaller problems, we took about 6 to 8 months. Okay.
Okay.
And every day we used to go learn, come back, and I used to code a little bit. Arun used to code a little bit. So we both go back, we both build it, come back, brainstorm, and see what's working, what's not working. Take it back to these guys and ask, "Hey, does this work for you? Does this not work for you?" There was a lot of learning back and forth. We had no problem in convincing the client to buy because we were directly showing them how much time they're saving and how much money they were saving. It is not about the number of users, it's not about anything else. End
Mhm.
of the day, for the property managers, show them where you will save money and they will like your product.
Okay.
Because their efficiency is measured as a project manager for a commercial real estate in how much money you're saving for the client.
Got it. Got it.
Right? And through attendance also, we gave an attendance. So everybody has an attendance management solution. If you have, ID card, you tap and go and things like that. That doesn't work there. You know why? Because you have to understand the users of this technology are not, I mean, for a lack of better word, are not that highly educated. They're blue collar jobs,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
they want convenience. If you give them an app, they will say, "Sir, mobile for data illa," right? So otherwise storage illa, right? Something they will tell. So they will find ways not to do it. So what we have convinced them is to give two mobiles, Android devices to all these guys. And finally, what happened is they don't use the office one. Everybody uses the app on their mobile itself because it's much more easier for them. They can carry it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the other part to the whole thing is when we go and tell, the project manager that I'm saving you 4 hours, and that directly also implicates at least 1 hour of time saving for each of your maintenance staff. He is more than happy than anybody else, because
Mm.
if there are 20 maintenance staff, you're saving 20 hours a day for them,
Yeah.
right? And end of the day, the costing. They can't pay you a lot, so you have to understand how to play this thing. I mean, the current client whom we are working with, we have not even given a quotation. They called and said, "Hari, can you just roll this out immediately?" We rolled it out. They're using it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we will go back. And I mean, we'll have the conversation of money tomorrow or day after or next month. I don't know, but we will have definitely, because it's working for them. They're very happy,
I see.
right? So that's how we approached it from a Haplo standpoint.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Anytime. So if you look at Duolingo, right, there are many edtech learning apps available today. But why is Duolingo number one? Why are they able to keep the customers? How are they able to hook the customers? How are they able to hook you to their app that once in a while you open it and at least do a 5-minute learning and close it off, right? They went into the mechanism of understanding, or the thought process of understanding of a human being. They use psychologists to understand how we feel about learning. No, but none of us want to study. None of us want to read. I mean, it's a general phenomenon across the world. So, how does a person who is not interested in learning behaves when it comes to learning? They brought in a lot of psychologists, did all this study, and the result of it, the amount of time they spent in building the product, is a direct is directly proportional to the success of the product today. Duolingo is number one, as you know, and there are a lot of paid customers. Even I was a paid customer for some time. Right after that, I didn't continue it. But yeah, there are a lot of paid customers in Duolingo. So it helps you when you put in the right efforts at the right time. Coming back, jobs to be done. I mean, this is a very known methodology. The jobs to be done canvas also is there, right? People don't buy products; they hire them to get the job done. I'll give you a fantastic example to this. Today we talked about AI and AI tools and everything doing. So I'll give you my problem. I've been going through, and even I still go through. There is no one solution, but something came very close. So before I hit the next thing I want to explain, so I was trying to find a scheduling app for myself where I keep track of my to-dos. My reminders app is the Apple To-dos by default, and my calendar. And I create my projects, and I know per project what are the tasks need to be done and things like that. So, for example, Haplo, Studio Navaka, I have my YouTube channel, and my speaking or writing engagements and things like that. So what I did was I used to use Eisenhower matrix. So every Sunday I sit down. Okay, what are the top things I need to get on this week for this all the 4 quadrants? But I wanted something better, and I was searching. So I found Motion. When I used Motion, I paid for it for 1 year, and I started using it. So Motion is an AI-powered tool for managing all your schedules. So what it does is you need to go and put out all your tasks in, the project section of the tool. Connect all your calendars. You can connect your to-dos also, Apple to-dos to it and everything. What it does is whenever there is an empty slot on your calendar, it keeps putting in tasks automatically, AI-powered scheduling, which is good. I really enjoyed initially. But I missed out a use case. It's not every day. I mean, today I'm doing the session. Let's say at 11 o'clock, my calendar is free. Suddenly, if it pushes out a task saying that I have to do some task which I have kept, write a LinkedIn post on this topic for next week, right? If it pushes at 11 o'clock, I'm not in the frame of mind, right? I just finished the session. I would like to take some rest and come back. And the reschedule takes a long time for me. I used it for a year. I didn't find any improvement in myself and things like that. So Aki Flow was something which was launched a year and a half earlier, and they were very new. I tried them. It didn't work for me, and I left it. But 1 year later, I said, okay, let me give them a try where they have come, right? And I'm really, really happy. because at this point of time, yeah, Apple To-Dos is still not syncing, but it has its own, to-do list where I can use it on the phone. I can put to-do list there. And the second best part, two things are best parts for me. One, it has a WhatsApp. So if I want to do something, I can just record and put it, and it will translate into a task. Or I can type it off as a WhatsApp message. It puts that. Or open Aki Flow and go to the particular AI window and say add this or do this. And second thing is, suddenly if you come and ask me, Hari, what are you doing on? Are you available on 14th of August? Just a second, I'll look at my calendar. Instead of that, I can just ask Flow, what's my schedule on 14th? It will show me immediately what my schedule is, what my tasks are, what my to-dos are scheduled for the day, and I can immediately give you an answer. So this solved it better. So I came. So why I went with the whole story of my personal experiences, the tools what we are using or what you're developing, the product you're developing, is basically helping somebody reduce their workload. So look at it from that lens and don't look at it, okay, how much, what is the automation I can do? If you ask me, Akiflow can do a lot more, or Motion can do a lot more, but we're not finding the right tool to get there. So there'll be a compromise. If you ask me, I want something like this in Trello, but Trello will not build it. So there is a coexistent aspect, but we need to understand how to do it. So when you're building a product, just keep in mind as a strategist that your product is going to help somebody reduce their workload. So we need to focus more on that. So this is the example I wanted to talk. Motion Flow. Motion was a key flow, my personal experience, and what I'm using today. I'm using a key flow today. So flywheel, right? It just feels like it's opening up every time it does. It's a 3D kind of a thing. So funnels are better. Funnels will have roadblocks, but flywheels will keep growing. It will give you an opportunity to consistently or constantly think, right? So that's why it said funnels and flywheels grow. It gives you an illusion it's growing, but you and I know it's a picture, but otherwise, if you want, it can grow too, if you have the space. So, as I mentioned, as a product strategist, we need to see how our competition is thinking from 10 years standpoint, how the product evolves 10 years from now. But keep in mind how the user is also using the product. Slowly bring the user to your level and keep them at your level if you can. Otherwise, keep them a level below you so that the consumer always feels that they're going ahead. This is what the biggest challenge with Apple happens. Every year when they bring the iPhone, there are set of YouTubers or media people. Apple has lost its innovation. I was disappointed. Even an eminent personality whom I respect, Falki Sharma, she also made a video on did Apple lose its innovation quotient. One thing people need to understand is innovation is not something which happens overnight. And there are certain innovations which happen once in few decades. It doesn't happen overnight. So when iPhone was launched, that changed the entire history of telecommunication. And don't expect it to change every 10 years. It will take another 100, 200 years to change. So what the innovations come will look always smaller than that. So at times, it's good to maintain the user expectation one step behind you so that you always become the star, right? Rather than look at anything. This is one thing I commonly see. Any feature Apple iOS launches, Android comes back. I'm part of a lot of forums where we have Android fanboys and Apple fanboys, but I use both devices just FYI. So Android guys are like, hey, this feature was there in Android since day one. Apple got it after 15 years. So that discussion and debate always happens, but we have to look at it from a product strategist lens and we have to look at the consumer lens. Here in the mobile world, the consumer is opened to a lot more competition who are doing a lot more things. Another great example I can give here is Nothing phone, right? If you've ever heard Nothing CEO speak, he always says, I'm done listening to camera resolution, storage, what it needs to be done, and things like that. If you are a Nothing user, you will understand that it's such a different OS perspective and UI perspective. It's simple and cute, right? He always wanted to keep things simple yet powerful and affordable for humans. And he always comes back with, I'm done with people talking about how the cameras are evolving. If I want a camera, I'll go get a DSLR. And not everybody is a photographer. So I don't need to give a professional camera in every person's hand, which is an absolute correct statement what he makes. But I mean, they are good. They're doing fantastic, and it's a new company. They're growing, but this is the thing, right? We at times open up a lot more. A consumer is having a lot more learnings these days, and as a product strategist, you need to control the narrative of your product to ensure that your consumer doesn't left get behind. So, if you look at the Apple and Android, iOS and Android ecosystems, I think the hooks are nothing but the ecosystem. If you are part of an ecosystem, you start investing in it. You don't easily move away from that ecosystem because there is money involved for you to move away. If you go to other one, you have to buy again and things like that. So that plays a very important role. So I will. This is the same thing what I've been speaking. So from a Haplo perspective, how are we keeping them, engaged with what we are doing? So a user. Um, who is a maintenance engineer, a lift engineer, a gardener, or something like that. They're using the app, they're completing the checklist, they're taking a photograph, sharing it with the project manager and everything. But how do we make them use the platform instead of going ahead and skipping it or trying to cheat the system in such a way? So what we have done is we've because as I mentioned, they're blue collared and they're not as high sophisticated users. We started having point system. So if you do everything right on the app, which is nothing but your daily job, you get points. And your project manager can also at times give you extra points for something like that. So end of the month, they have a total tally of who's doing the best work. And, we convince the project manager, hey, get them a meal or something like that, or let us know, we will pay and things like that. I said, no worry, this is a very good way of motivating the blue collar job people, because you can't keep them motivated. It's a very, very monotonous job. I mean, just imagine a gardener is a gardener, a technician is a technician, a fire engineer is a fire engineer. You're not going beyond that, right? Like you and me. So how do you keep them motivated? So fortunately, the point system is working. And once in a year, the super boss meets the person who has the highest number of points and things like that. So they're a little excited. For them, that's the small excitement. So keeping that momentum going is something what worked for us till now. We don't know how we have to change it over a period of time. Probably we have some ideas of in the app itself, we want to create a community for this blue collar people. But the challenge would be then the job function. I mean, they quitting a gardener job or an electrician job is far more easier than you and me. So they quit, said, I'm not coming from tomorrow, and they'll go and join the competitor. So we should ensure that that also is taken care. So we're struggling a little bit in terms of how we can motivate them and also have them keep using the app. That will make a lot more difference. When we can crack the code, I'll share it again publicly. Any questions? I know I'm like 7 minutes ahead of the scale. I mean, sorry, not ahead, late, but still, I'm open for conversations.
Not question as such, but it's an amazing thing that you guys are doing, right? It is, the category where you're serving, and the apps that you're making, and making sure all these guys are also technically enabled. It's really brilliant. They are coming back to the app. Maybe tomorrow they will come back with suggestions. Ke, sir, ye nahi ho raha, ye kar do, ye nahi ho raha, ye kar do. Right?
That happens for us.
How?
The best part is they call me or Arun directly.
Okay, nice. So,
We're in some world. I mean, if I'm in Melbourne, also the phone rings, I'll see. I mean, but I'll pick the phone. They
yeah.
will not understand that I'm away. I'm sleeping. I'm whatever. They said, "Sir, idu kalsa matta illa, idu madidini, adu madidini." I was like, okay, fine, got it. So Arun and I communicate and get it back done. But uh, see, I mean, this is not only the two things, because the context came, because you brought it up, I just want to share. So, for a blue collar job and the engagement and all that stuff, like ONDC, like UPI, there is a platform from government called onest.network. Okay. That's a platform for you to create meaningful applications for blue collar jobs or blue collared people who are not technically savvy. You can bring them on board to create job opportunities and things like that. And the one of the ways we try to look at ourselves is we are not a direct example, but we are a use case of the next 1 billion users. You heard about that, right? The Google initiative, which they started in 2020. You can just search for next billion users project initiative. So Google initiated this project. Where are we going to get the next 100 billion users? It's not from America. It's not from Europe. It's not from UK or Japan or things like that. The next billion users for technology and apps are going to come from Africa and Asia Pacific, right? Which you want to include India, you don't want to include India. Even today, India, the mobile penetration is about 800, 800, 900 million. But smartphone, penetration is not more than 400 million. And even though smartphones are cheap and things like that, the apps what we have are very heavy. That's why you have something called Facebook Lite, you have Google Lite, you have all the lighter versions which are coming up for these phones. And that's where companies like Geo and everybody are partnering to make them a bundle with the phone so that it goes into the hands directly. It comes with the phone, your Facebook and your Google and things like that. So you acquire your next billion users, right? So we might not be that category, but we are a use case where even though these people have smartphones, they don't use the smartphones for smart purposes except for WhatsApping,
So
right?
true, so true. I agree. And I also want to say, like, how demonetization, just one instance, and everyone
Correct.
today is mobile savvy. At least they know how they have received their payments and they have their
Correct.
bank accounts. Otherwise, this, when we were only talking about everyone should be banking and having their accounts and all of that, it was just a theory. One
Correct.
demonetization act, and today even for a 10 rupee or a 5 rupee transaction I can do a GPay, right?
Hmm.
So I think these are bold moves, Hari, and
Correct.
kudos to doing all these great jobs. I know you're targeting probably a small sector now and eventually you will grow out, but really a great job. I'm heavily impressed with the apps that you're making and for the
Thank
category
you.
that you are catering to. Really impressive. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, that's the end. Thank you so much for joining. I mean, these are my coordinates. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to buzz me or let me know. And yeah, if you want to know what the next sessions are, just subscribe to the Luma calendar and you will get an update. But the time is set. I just post the event 2 weeks prior. That's about it. But every fourth Saturday, which is the last Saturday of the month, 10 o'clock is when I do the session.
Sure. Thanks
Thank
for
you so much,
sharing.
Harry. That was a
Thank you.
brilliant
Thank you so
session.
much.
Really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining on a Saturday.
Thank you, Hari.
Harry
Thank
would
No
really
problem.
like to meet you in person probably sometime. I'll reach out to you.
Sure, 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 sure. My LinkedIn or my number, whatever, please reach out to me.
I'll do. Thank you.
you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.